Indigo Protocol is one of the largest DApps launched on Cardano, a project that is focused on synthetic assets and also on tokenization, and that has been constantly fighting with Minswap for that #1 spot in terms of total value locked in Cardano. And in this video, we're going to dive deeper into Indigo and try to understand what is the real potential for this project. So, what is Indigo Protocol? Well, explaining Indigo can be quite complex, but I'll try to keep it as simple as possible. Indigo is basically a synthetic assets protocol. It allows you to use cryptocurrency that you already have, that already exists in Cardano, to create a new cryptocurrency, that synthetic asset that represents and mimics the price of that asset you're trying to represent, whether it is another cryptocurrency or a real asset. For example, leveraging Indigo, you can use ADA to mint a synthetic version of BTC, that is the IBTC that is already available, but you could also use it to mint a synthetic real-world asset representation, such as, for example, oil or gold. But how does this happen? This basically happens with over-collateralized debt positions, and that means you basically put your ADA there, and more ADA than the price of the asset you want to have, and then you're able to mint this asset. And at any point, you're able to redeem your new asset in the Indigo protocol and get your ADA back. Or you can also sell this asset in the market for the price that is quoted in the market, and the price should be very similar to the real world price, as long as there is enough liquidity in the market for these assets. So that's basically the process, and this means that through this mechanism you actually have a very accurate representation of a real-world asset in the blockchain that is a cryptocurrency and that can be traded. And this is a great advantage because we need to bear in mind that many of the markets out there, such as the stock market or commodities market, do not trade 24/7. They are also not permissionless and they require KYC. And not everyone is able to use these markets. Of course, you need a bank account, you need a lot of infrastructure. And with this tokenization that allows to create synthetic assets, we open the door to the 24/7 trade of these assets and for more investors to be able to participate in the market at any point in time. Even like, for example, people who don't have access to the bank account and with some knowledge might find this as a very interesting solution to improve their financial situation. But more than that, leveraging blockchain, we can also have a much more transparent and efficient way to trade assets, where there is a clear register of these assets that cannot be tampered with. So we avoid a lot of the corruptions and crimes that can happen with these, and we bring a lot of transparency. So blockchain is definitely great. There are some fantastic use cases like Indigo and like others, and if you want to learn all about them, don't forget to subscribe, because that's what we do in this channel. But coming back to the CDPs and to the synthetic assets, you can also use them to go long or short in the market. That's a very interesting use case, but one that's a little bit more complex, maybe too complex for this video. But if you really want to learn about that, you can check my video here at the top about IUSD. It's one of my first videos, but is one where I share exactly how you can short and long the market using this synthetic asset, and that works very similar to other synthetic assets. A big advantage of using Indigo is while you use Indigo and have the synthetic assets, you still preserve your ADA staking rewards, but you also earn Indigo protocol rewards on top of that. So as you can imagine, that leads to a considerable yield for participating and using Indigo. And especially if you choose good positions and the price of those positions increase, you can accumulate a lot of yield from your investments. Indigo leverages stability pools that are maintained by the community, and where you can also participate yourself and be rewarded with ADA and Indy for your work. These stability pools basically safeguard against the solvency risks that exist in a protocol like this. In case your collateralized debt positions start underperforming, and this stability pool performs the liquidations when the collateralization ratio is very low, to avoid bad debt for the protocol. So each time there's a liquidation, the stability providers earn a share of the liquidated collateral plus the rewards that were mentioned, so that is also very attractive. In case this was too complex, let me try to explain it in a simple way. Basically, you have your position, you have your over collateralized that position. So it means you put there some ADA to mint this new asset that you want, the synthetic asset, but you also put a little bit extra, that is your collateral. And if you have healthy ratio, all is good. But if that ratio starts going decreasing, maybe because the price of ADA is decreasing faster than the price of the asset you have, then you run into the risk of having not enough collateral to cover for this asset, and before that happens, the people will liquidate it. But of course, you always have the chance to put more ADA there and get that asset back in the future if you want to. It depends on your strategy. Indigo is decentralized, and with the Indy token, the native token of the Indigo Protocol, you can actually participate in governance and even earn rewards for your participation. And of course, very importantly, you are defining the feature of the protocol, which is major, I would say. Indigo also created Dexter, a DEX aggregator, to effortlessly exchange Indigo synthetic assets with ADA, and Indy included in this DEX aggregator as well. And basically, you can do those exchanges at the best rate possible and aggregating the liquidity of several of the DEXs in Cardano to provide you with the best price possible. Indigo is clearly a project with several use cases, a clear demand on Cardano with more than 150 million in total value locked, and that has been constantly delivering. And right now, with governance, the future of the protocol is actually decided by the DAO members, the Indy token holders, that can actually make proposals to improve the protocol and vote on what they believe should be the next steps for the Indigo protocol. Indigo was initially developed by Indigo Labs. This is the main contributor for the protocol, and they have done an amazing job developing this initial version of the protocol. Indigo Labs has an experienced team, at least with a lot of experience in the technology world. Looking at the core team, we have its CEO, Eric Colley, with 15 years of experience consulting in telecom and technology industry, and 12 years of experience in senior level positions. We have Cuddy Butts as the CTO with more than 9 years of experience in developing apps, and also responsible for the technical side and for everything that Indigo has developed so far. But also a lot of experienced advisors and counselors such as Christopher Borders, a lawyer with a lot of knowledge and experience in the blockchain space, working for many great companies. But however, right now, the focus with the governance is not on the team, but on the community, because they'll be actually the ones deciding the future of the protocol. And governance opens the doors to all kinds of teams to be able to come create proposals and to develop on top of Indigo, on top of what has already been built. And if you want to get more involved in the governance of Indigo, you have here all the relevant documentation about the protocol. You can find the white paper in the main website, and you can also start the discussions and keep up with the latest topics in terms of governance here at the Indigo forum. To participate in governance and in decision making, however, you do need to have the Indy token, the native token of the Indigo protocol. And as such, it might be useful for you to go through the tokenomics to understand the utility of the token, understand the supply, but also any other relevant characteristics that might affect its price, and also the governance at the end of the day. And I think for any protocol, it's important to understand whether the success of the Indigo protocol will reflect on the price of the token or not. And while participating in Indigo does require you to spend money to buy Indigo tokens, leaving a like is completely free to you. So please help me make this video reach more people. Looking here at Indy, we can see that the token has a maximum supply of 35 million Indy tokens with an 8-year release schedule for the tokens. And here you can find how the tokens are coming into the market. We can see that a lot of inflation is expected for Indigo in the next years, a lot of tokens coming to the market. So definitely there will be a need for a lot of demand to counter this supply. Here we can see the percentage of how the token has been allocated and distributed, with more than half of the tokens going for DAO rewards. This is a great percentage of the tokens that will go to reward users participating in the Indigo protocol and bringing value to Indigo, such as those stability pools we talked about. Then we have almost 14% going to the DAO treasury for future initiatives, development, and proposals that are approved by the community. Then we have 5% for the individuals participating in governance as rewards. 1% of the tokens were used to provide liquidity for the token in the exchanges, in the DEXs, and another 1% for a launch airdrop of the protocol. And finally, 25% of the tokens are actually going to the team and to the treasury of Indigo Labs to fund the initial development and operational support by the core team. And as far as I understand, this allocation is subjected to a 2-year vesting schedule. I'm not sure, but that schedule might already be over. Overall, analyzing the token allocation, I like to see how many tokens are actually going to the users of the protocol, to the ones actually providing an important role, an important function in the operations of the protocol. That is extremely positive. However, I would like to see a bigger percentage of the tokens going to the DAO treasury to make sure that there are enough tokens to ensure the continuous development and growth of Indigo Protocol in the long run. And I would also like to see a smaller allocation for the team, because the team will actually have access to 20% of the supply of the token. And that's worrying because, on one side, it can translate into a lot of price pressure downwards, with a lot of the supply being sold by the team coming into the market. And another concern is that the team actually has a lot of control over the protocols and the decisions being made in governance, because they have an extremely high percentage of tokens. They are also find themselves in a great position to use these tokens to participate in the protocol and to enjoy all these rewards, to accumulate even more Indy and to have even more influence over governance and the protocol overall. And that, I think, is a little bit worrying for a decentralized app. Looking at the utility of the token, it seems like the main utility of Indy is to participate in the governance of the protocol. However, the token can also be used in the protocol itself as an asset, as a collateral, and it can also be traded. Besides that, individuals might be incentivized to get the token in order to participate in the protocol and get DAO rewards, and also to participate in governance, where they are also rewarded for their participation. Those can be interesting incentives. A very cool utility for Indy token, and probably one of the best, is the staking and dual rewards, where Indy tokens can actually stake their tokens to participate in the protocol's fee sharing mechanism. And by staking these Indy tokens, they receive Indy rewards and ADA fees from the protocol activities, like, for example, minting, liquidations, and redemptions. So it aligns a little bit the incentives to users and brings some benefit in terms of the protocol's growth to users that are actually staking their tokens. But there is a very strong supply coming into the market, as is seen by the graphic, and also a chance that the team that has a considerable amount of the supply might need to sell to participate in other endeavors, and that can really bring the price of Indigo down. As such, I think it would be very good to have a little bit more utility for the token to make sure that it appreciates with the growth of the protocol. However, of course, it's definitely useful to have some Indy tokens as part of this, the decision making of the protocol, as part of the governance of this decentralized protocol, especially if you use it. And the reality is that if we have a lot of demand and a lot of new users coming, the price and the token will still probably appreciate a lot. Looking at Indy's price, we can see here that the price is currently at $1.33, and that we have a market cap of around 6 million, almost 7 million. So very low, still a project that is very early stage. And if we compare here with Synthetics, that is another synthetic assets protocol, but that is being built on Ethereum, we can see that this protocol has around 700 million in market cap. So yeah, almost 800 million. But just imagining that Indigo would be able to capture half of that, would be able to capture half of 700 million just. Even with the total supply out, that would mean that the price of Indigo would increase to $10. So naturally, that's a lot. And if you believe in the future of the success of the project, then there's a lot of growth potential, because it's still a very early stage token. But of course, this could be, and it's probably a very conservative price estimation, considering that we are coming near to the bull market, and that at the end of the day there are still 5 years left until we reach maximum supply. So there's a much smaller supply in circulation right now. I don't know about you, but I think Indigo is clearly one of the very interesting projects in Cardano, as a strong use case, can generate a lot of yield for its users and participants in the protocol, which is extremely positive, has attracted a lot of people into Cardano. But of course, in terms of tokenomics, I think those could be a bit better. But I would love to know your opinion about Indigo, and also what you think about the potential of this project. Please drop it in the comments. And if you want to know more about other projects in Cardano with some huge potential, why not take a look here at some of the best games building on Cardano, games that actually have the potential for mass adoption.